In this video I'm going to demonstrate some different ways of handling the paint, partly inspired by the textures and variety that we got from our monoprints. I'm hoping that you can extract from them different ideas for the application and texture of paint. So there are places where I have applied the paint thickly with a stiff brush, places where I've used pieces of card to apply the paint again on the surface, and contrasting that with thinner, sort of smoother areas of paint, washes of paint applied with a big soft brush, even a few fingerprints, and a variety of brush marks. So I'm going to demonstrate that now and talk you through some of those possibilities. So I begin my composition in the usual way. I've tinted my canvas, and now with a fine sable brush and some dilute brown paint, I'm sketching out first my two ballerina figures. So it's always good to start with a tinted canvas so we can see the colours and the way the colours affect each other. And I think this fluid, dark, neutral paint to sketch things out is also a good way to begin, because it's easy to smudge these colours, even rub them out, if I find that what I begin with isn't what I actually want. So once I start applying paint, I'm going to try and apply the paint in different ways. So I've begun with a large soft brush and some quite fluid paint for the background. So this goes on quickly with a certain amount of translucency, and the thinness of the paint will mean that the background will perhaps more naturally recede. When I come to work on the figures, I'm effectively using a bit more paint. These are stiff oil painting brushes, hog hair or similar type of hair, and they mean that I can, provided I've mixed sufficient paint, I can pick up a reasonable quantity and lay it on the surface a little bit more thickly than the thin brush allowed me to do with the background. So I'm working from dark to light. I did the hair, and then I've done some of the more shadow colours, and now with even more paint, so again that requires me to prepare plenty on the palette, and a slightly more pointed hog hair brush, I'm picking up much larger quantities for the highlights, for the light on the hair and the light on the dancer's back and arms, and I'm effectively floating that on the surface. And then to apply yet more quantities of paint to the lighter parts of the dress, I've mixed up a good dollop on my palette of the lightest dress colour, and I'm picking it up with little pieces of card and laying it on the surface. Now here I'm scraping down, so I wasn't quite sure about the background. So I've put my palette knife flat on the surface of the painting. So pressing the paint into the canvas, effectively smudging it with the knife. And then, as you can see, I applied some paint with my fingertips a la Degas. For the second dancer who's in the background, I'm effectively using a bit less paint. I'm applying it in similar ways, but I'm letting the light and dark colours merge a bit more so there's less contrast, and I'm not putting the paint on quite as thickly as I did for the foreground dancer. So again, a bit like painting a thin background, less contrast in the background figure and less paint will help it recede a bit. And then it just struck me at the end that a dark curtain or a dark area would be quite nice on that side of the painting. A little bit more scraping with the knife, extra colour on the curtain, and then I'm going to finish with a little light on the hair of the model. So hopefully that's a good variety of ways. Applying paint to the painting.